Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be going over our February wrap-up. I think this month is actually pretty good, minus the 2 1-stars that I had, but you know, sometimes that happens. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I still kind of had fun reading at least one of the 1-stars, so at least there's that. I also did have 2 5-stars though, and we had 2 5-stars in the first month, so maybe this year, every single month I'm going to have 2 5-stars or more 5-stars. I feel like that's pretty good odds. I'm okay with that. I would love, obviously, to have more every single month, but, you know, I'll take 2 if that's what I can get. So I do have 2 books that we're going to talk about first, because I can't talk about them. They are actually part of the December and November BookBox book video, which will be coming out in March. I can't talk about these yet because I want it to be a surprise. I want it to be a surprise. So we did end up reading both A Rather Vengeful Accord and 7 Deadly Thorns. So I can't talk about these 2, but I did read them in February. So if you want to see what I thought about these, you definitely have to go check out that video whenever it comes out. I'm thinking next week. Ugh, when is this coming out? I don't know. I'm like way ahead of filming right now. I think this is coming out. Ooh, I don't know. Probably the last 2 weeks of March is when that will come out, but we'll see. Anyway, besides that, we did have 2 DNFs and both of them were from the Purge video. So we did end up DNFing The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. Don't want to talk about it. I'm really sad about it. I just didn't like anything about it. I really hated one of the characters' heart, and I thought it was just really cringy, and I didn't like the humor. That really just came down to that. And then The Night Ends in Fire. Very unmemorable. Like, I can't even remember why I didn't like it, but I remember not liking it. So this one also was a DNF. I just have no patience for things that I'm not enjoying anymore. Like, I just, like, if I'm not liking it, I'm not going to force myself into reading something. So that's kind of what happened with The Night Ends in Fire. Moving on to the books that I actually read and can talk about this month, starting with our 1-star, we have The Bond That Burns. Oh man. I didn't love the first book, but it was binge-worthy and fun, and I was like, okay, you know, sometimes a smooth brain book, it's really fun. It's a really fun time. So I decided to continue with the series. And I'm still continuing with the series. I know I gave it a 1, but I'm still continuing with the series because I can't stop reading them. I don't know what it is. But arguably, this was worse than the first book. The reveals in this, the writing was worse. That's, I think, what killed me the most, is the writing was worse. And this one did get boring. That is something that the first book did not do. This one did get boring. I did struggle a little bit through the middle of this one. And overall, it was just kind of weird. Like I said, the reveals were just kind of strange, and I feel like they were kind of just annoying. And I think there was a lot of repetition from the first book. Like, I feel like this book followed the same exact formula as the first book, but in like a worse way. So obviously I can't talk about it too much, but the first book was following our main character who was kind of shoved into this world full of vampires, and she ends up having to go to school with them and dealing with the ramifications of that. And this just continues after the first book. So hated this. Will be continuing in the series. Notice I said I had 2 1-stars, but I'm only talking about 1. Can you guys guess what the 1-star was? You have 2 options that I've shown in this video already that I said I couldn't talk about. Oh, I totally forgot. I have one that I didn't rate because it is a nonfiction and it ended up not being for me, but I still did listen to it. But I read Rebel of the Regency, and I didn't rate it because it's a very specific moment in history, and it's a person that I didn't know very well, but I thought I was going to be able to kind of keep up with the story, and I wasn't. So it wasn't really on the book. It was on me not doing probably enough research before reading the book. So I did enjoy some of it. I did learn some stuff. It piqued my interest for that time period. But other than that, I just couldn't follow it very well. And I can't even tell you what it was about. But it's about like a very scandalous woman in history and what she did and why she was scandalous. And I'm trying to remember her name, but I can't remember her name. If you are interested in that kind of history, I would recommend this. I think it was really well done. But I definitely was a little confused during it because I didn't know the players of the historical context. Next up, we have our 2-stars. Actually, this was a great reading month. I had only 2 1-stars and 1 2-star, and everything else was 3 or up. I did have a lot of 3s, but everything was 3 and up. I feel like that's a pretty good win. So 2-star, Cards on the Table by Agatha Christie. I read it for the Gavin Solve Along, which is really fun. It's on his Patreon. I don't really have like an opinion on this one. I didn't really love it. I'm starting to realize I'm not like the biggest Agatha Christie fan. I loved And Then There Were None, but I haven't loved any. Well, I liked Five Little Pigs too. I just think there's so many characters. There's just so much happening in the books that once we get to the end, sometimes it feels like you can't solve it. And I'm just kind of like, So for me, I didn't love this one, especially because it had a lot to do with like card counting and cards, and it was really hard to follow along for me. So there are potentially more Agatha Christie's I would enjoy, but this was definitely not one of them. Next up, we have Sorcery and Small Magics. This was read for the Purge video. This is one of the only 2 books that I read for that video. And it was fine. If you want more of my thoughts on that, I would go check out the Purge video. It's following our main character who is a scriver. He like writes spells and ends up having to work with his like arch nemesis, who's the one who actually casts the spells. I didn't love the magic system in this. I actually really hated the magic system. I didn't think it was very practical because they were talking about how you would take this magic into fighting and into wars. And for me, I think it would absolutely 100% collapse in an actual war situation because the person casting the spells has to get them from a person writing them. Like they have a book of spells that they have to like read from. It just feels really weird because you have to like in the middle of a battle, you would have to open up this book, read a spell and cast it. And it's like your head would be chopped off. Like I get you probably have like warriors in front of you or something like that. They're protecting you, but the second one guy falls and someone breaks through, you're screwed. The casters are absolutely useless. And I think what pisses me off the most is that it doesn't make a lot of sense because there's like, they even talk about it. There's so many casters available. It's harder for them to find a spot because there's so many of them. But the people who actually write the spells are seen as like lesser citizens, but there's also less of them. So they're coveted. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like the writers would be the ones that would be highly coveted and be the ones that are like, oh my God, like they're the best of the best. Oh my God, we want to be them. But instead it's like the casters because they're the flashy ones, but it doesn't make sense for this magic system. Like just because they're flashy doesn't mean this magic system would view casters as better than the writers of the spells. In this world, it would make significantly more sense for the writers to be the ones that are lauded as the best of the best. And so it just bothered me because it was like a consistent theme throughout the book. And again, because I didn't like the magic system, that kind of hurts an entire book that has a big magic system. So I give it a 3-star, didn't love it. I am still debating if I'm going to continue in the series. Next up, another 3-star, we have Vicious. This was our book club pick for January and February. So if you want more of that, definitely go check out the book club video. This was a disappointment. And I don't know if it was a disappointment because it was just hyped up so much, but it also is not my normal pickup. Like I would say this is sci-fi. This is more like an X-Men type of story, and I'm not a superpower girl. Like I don't like stories that have like superpowers. I like magic. I don't like superpowers. I'm not an X-Men fan. I'm not like the biggest Marvel fan either. Like there's a couple of them that I like. Like I like Iron Man, who has like created powers. This is like humans have powers, and it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it is following our main, there's a lot of people this book is following, but it's following our main characters Victor and Eli, and they constantly have this push and pull between them, and it is going between the past where they were roommates and they were actually exploring these extraordinary people to begin with, and obviously something happens and they get extraordinary abilities, and then it also is in the future where a ton of stuff has happened. It's like 10 years later, tons of things have happened between them, and they are in a cat and mouse. Actually, I guess they're both the cat. They're chasing each other basically. And it is very tense at moments. There are moments that I absolutely loved in this book, but there are also moments that I could not be bothered with. So like, I really liked the past. I loved the past. I loved the writing of the past. There were some beautiful quotes about the obsession in this story. But other than that, I just didn't feel very connected to the characters, and I really hated Eli. I think that was what hurt most of the book for me, is I really hated Eli as a character. I didn't like his motivations for things. It was a god complex kind of situation, and a religious motivation, and I don't like that. Like I don't really care for that in a story. So for me, Eli was a very weak villain, and I would have rathered somebody else. I want something more. I love a villain who's snarky, who has attitude, and Eli was just like a really incredibly boring villain, to be honest. So for me, this was a struggle. I am going to continue in this series. I am actually reading this probably in March. So we'll see a review for Vengeful at some point. Next up, the only other book that I read for the Purge video, we have Bonesmith. This is a 3 bordering up to a 3.5. I think it's going to depend on what the second book does. I am going to continue in the second book. But this is following our main character who is a bonesmith, and the world is really cool. That's the thing about this book. This has really cool world building, but it doesn't do a lot with it. So we're following a bonesmith who can fight ghosts. Like, that's like her whole point. She wields bones, fights ghosts, so that the person with her can actually sever the connection between the ghost and the body, and that's kind of how they fight. But this world is consisting of like a bunch of different types of smiths. You have goldsmiths, ironsmiths, bonesmiths, silversmiths, pretty much any smithing that you can do. They have their own like grouping. And the whole point of this book is that there was something called the Breach, where the dead were dug up accidentally, supposedly, and created this giant undead army that the world ended up having to fight, and it killed lots of people, and now there's just undead roaming this area, and there's a whole group of people that was kind of wiped out. And that is kind of what the plot is she ends up having to go save a prince in this haunted territory area. So I liked a lot about this book. 5 stars for the beginning, 4 stars for the ending. Middle was like a 2. This was a travel story. There was a lot of meandering. I also didn't feel the connection between her and the romantic interest, which was unfortunate because I think that could have added a layer that I would have enjoyed more, because the middle of the book is literally just the 2 of them traveling around, and I could not care less what they were doing. Like, I really just didn't. I did not feel a connection between them. I do love her as a character. I don't think she's as badass as it was like lauded. Like, do you know when they like open a book and they're like, oh, this person's like a great warrior, they've been training for years since they were a child, they're amazing, and then they're kind of a little useless. And she had like really good moments, but then other times it was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I thought she could have been a little bit stronger based on how she was like described. And I just think there was an utter lack of use of the world. The world is so cool, and I wish we had been following like a different character. Like, I wish that we were following someone who was living in the haunted territory or living on the outskirts of it. I think that would have been so interesting. I would love a spin-off series like following that, but yeah, that's probably not gonna happen. But I am gonna continue with Ghostsmith. I do need to actually go pick up my copy from the library today before it gets put back. But yeah, I'm just middle of the road with this one. I really am hoping I like Ghostsmith. Next up, we have a 3.5, and that is Taurus Season. This is a complicated book as well to talk about, because I enjoyed a lot of this book, but again, the middle section did fall apart slightly. I also don't know how I feel about the romance. I actually like the 2 characters separately. I don't know if I buy like the actual romance between them, but I think that could grow in later books. I'm actually really happy that this is going to be like continuing their story. Like, I thought it was going to be similar to Butcher and Blackbird, where every single book is following like a different sibling, a different character, but this left off on a massive cliffhanger, and it does seem like the next book is going to be following our 2 main characters, which is awesome. I actually think that was a really good call, because I love this world. I love this small town. That definitely like helped my interest in the book. Like, I love Cape Carnage. I would read it's almost cozy. Like, I know there's murder and stuff happening. I don't think there's as much murder in this as there was in Butcher and Blackbird, but it's almost like a cozy murder story where we're following the murderers. So I kind of love that, and I love the idea of a girl like protecting her town and killing unwanted tourists. Taurus season. So I'm kind of obsessed with that. So yeah, it's following our main character who is living in this small town called Cape Carnage, and she is trying to protect it from gross tourists, and that's kind of her job, as she kills people. And she has a relationship with her neighbor who has dementia, but he also was like a killer before. Then someone comes into town to kill her. And it's actually really, really good. I think it was slow in some areas. There was a very bizarre go-kart situation that happened that was very weird and unnecessary. But I am excited for the next book. The cliffhanger was fantastic, like so good. Again, this is another one that's a 5-star beginning, kind of a 3-star middle, and then a 5-star ending. So I did end up with a 3.5 just based on like enjoyment, because it did take me a little while to read this because of the middle section. So did enjoy it. Have already pre-ordered Harvest Season. Will be reading Harvest Season. Next up, we had The Passengers. I actually read this with 2 of my friends. We kind of just wanted something fun to read, and we ended up accidentally all picking the Passengers. So Passengers by John Mars, I have enjoyed both John Mars that I read so far. This is like a 3.75. I loved a lot of this book. This book was so incredibly fast paced. I think the ending left a little bit to be desired. Like it did a couple fake outs back and forth that I was like, okay, we didn't need that many fake outs. Like it did a little too much at the end. But this one was scary fun, and it definitely was a situation of what can happen with AI if we're not careful. So this is following like 8 different main characters. John Mars does that. If you've read any of his books, like his sci-fi books, he likes to follow a lot of main characters. So this is following like 8 main characters, and they all get into automated cars, and the automated cars are hacked, and the hacker says, hey, all these people are going to crash in by the end of the day if my like demands aren't met. So that's what the whole book is about the lives of these people, and they all have crazy secrets that are revealed, and it's so much fun. I would highly recommend this one. And I did like the Family Experiment better, but I do think that this is a really good addition to like the series, because it is a whole series, because I think the Family Experiment is the newest one. So I loved going back and seeing some stuff that was happening in the world that led to some stuff that happened in the Family Experiment. So I do actually plan to read all the books in this series. I'm just kind of doing it out of order. So I still have the one to read, which I have on Audible. And then I also have the Marriage Act that I need to get as well. I think a lot of people didn't love the Marriage Act, but I'm still probably going to read it. And I think there's one more that I didn't even know was a thing, but I don't remember what the title is. So anyway, I enjoyed this one. I would recommend this if you want a very fast-paced sci-fi. It's not very hard to keep track of all the characters. I thought it would be, but it's not. So I would recommend this one. Next up, another 3.75 with, upon reread, this could actually be higher. A Lonely Broadcast. Love this. This is an indie published book. I listened to the audiobook. The audio was so good. I would highly, highly recommend the audiobook. I did just buy the second book. They don't have the second audio out yet, so I think I'm going to physically read the second book and then re-listen to it afterwards. This is a crazy book. This is everything I wanted in a book. It just got a little bit too much at the end because of the cosmic horror aspect of it. Cosmic horror does lose me a little bit once it gets to the ending, but overall, this was such a fun, scary, ridiculous book. And it is following our main character who is working in a watchtower, but it's actually a radio station. So it's a watchtower turned radio station, and weird stuff happens. I'm just gonna read the back of it because I feel like this does a better job than I could ever explaining this book. If you find yourself driving down a winding mountain road near an endless stretch of pines, try tuning in to 104.6 FM, the radio station that shouldn't exist. The village of Pinehaven has a secret of monstrous proportions. Evelyn McKinnon, a radio host falling on hard times, finds herself utterly unprepared when she learns that the radio station isn't just for entertainment, it's a watchtower. She's stalked by a bird with human eyes, her new co-host won't stop singing show tunes, and when the fog rolls in, the beasts of Pinehaven Forest begin their brutal hunt. Evelyn and her friends are suddenly face to face with something much scarier than ravenous flesh giants and vengeful spirits. Responsibility. This book is so good. It's so good. There's the weirdest things happen. So like there's monsters, there's a deadly fog, there's sounds that can kill people, and you have callers that are calling in that are like very scary people, and they're telling you very paranormal things. And like there's so many paranormal things that happen, they start acting like it's normal, and then a new thing will happen and they're like, oh, gotta add that. The sink is talking to them, whispering to them. Loved it. Will be rereading it. Me talking about it, I feel like I should bump it up to a 4. I think I'm gonna bump it up to a 4. Yeah, we're going to bump this up to a 4. I know the ending lost me a little bit because, like I said, cosmic horror, it is a lot at the end. But I loved everything else about this, so 4-star for A Lonely Broadcast. I will be reading the second one. Our final 4-star is I, Medusa. I actually rush read this at the end of the month so I could do this for my Instagram reel. So if you haven't watched that, definitely go check out my Instagram. I did end up talking about that one. That was my latest NetGalley pick. And you know what? This was actually really good. I was a little bit nervous because I tried reading Beasts of Prey, which was also by Ayanna Gray, and I didn't love it. I wasn't a fan of it. This, on the other hand, I have complicated feelings of it. I did give it a 4-star because it felt appropriate, but it's kind of like how when I read The Reformatory, and I don't read a lot of historical fiction. I don't read a lot of grief fiction, and I feel like this is, I guess this isn't grief fiction, but it's like trauma fiction, I would say, is probably what this is. So like with The Reformatory, it was not a fun read, but it was phenomenal. Amazing writing, amazing storytelling, some of the best storytelling I've ever read in my entire life. But you don't like enjoy the book because it's so sad and so filled with trauma. And that's kind of what I, Medusa is as well. So I, Medusa is following Medusa, but it's actually following her before she was turned into a Gorgon. It's actually following her at 17 years old when she goes to Athens. And Athens is where supposedly, because this does take liberties, obviously. So I'm going to talk about this in terms of what mythology this book does, but it is different than other mythology because, you know, people when they do retellings, they will take a lot of liberties. So in this book, she goes to Athens and it is her the months leading up to her being turned into a Gorgon. Like these are the events that happen. So it's really a small portion of time in this book. And then the end of the book is following her as a Gorgon, but it's like a very, very, very small section. Like it's like 50 pages and it's just trying to give you a feel of what happened like directly afterwards and the relationship she has with her sisters. So I think this book does very important things. Like this book talks about female power, men taking advantage of women. It talks about women taking advantage of women, which is something that's not talked about often, but the jealousy of other women taking down other women when women should just be supporting women. I feel like it talks about that really well. It's just emotionally draining. Like it is. It's emotionally draining because of all the stuff that she has to go through, but I also think it was really good because Medusa isn't like a lovable character, and that was something that was kind of like she wants to get ahead. Like she will do things that don't make her likable, but that doesn't mean that she's still not a victim of what happened to her. And I think those are the most important books, is just because you're not likable doesn't mean you deserve bad things to happen to you. And I think I, Medusa definitely made that point. And it was just very harrowing. It was very sad. And I hate the gods. I hate mythology. But I feel like there's such important lessons because men are gross. Men are gross. And yeah. So anyway, this one, if you want to read I, Medusa, I would check the trigger warnings. There are so many trigger warnings for this book, so definitely look out for that. Moving on to our 5-star books of the month. We have 2 5 stars. The very first one was Dear Debbie by Freida McFadden. I would recommend this one. I think this is different compared to a Freida. Like it's still a Freida where it's like a popcorn thriller, but there is no real mystery actually. Like there's some like connections that are made at the end. Like there are surprises at the end where there's connections that you weren't expecting and how like connected everything was. But overall, this really isn't a mystery. It's just a story of our main character taking retribution against people she feels have wronged her, and it's crazy. Like she does the craziest things. And I actually buddy read this with my mom. My mom also gave it a 5 stars. She really enjoyed it. She said she also agreed it was kind of different than the normal Freida McFadden's, but it was super fun. So this one, love it. I probably am actually going to get a copy of it because I loved it so much. This is up there with The Housemaid and The Boyfriend. I actually like this one better than The Boyfriend even, which I also gave 5 stars. Yeah, if you want to read a Freida McFadden, but you are unsure, like you don't know if you would like her normal thrillers, I actually would recommend Dear Debbie. It is different. It's fun, and you're gonna be like, Debbie, Debbie, what are you doing? And then finally, our last book. This book has taken me forever to read. I've had this on my shelves for a really long time. You can actually tell by the tag. I can't take the tag off anymore because it's been on here for so long, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to get this thing off. But I've had this since it came out, I think. And yeah, I just never thought about reading it. I don't know why. And so I just suddenly decided to read it. I don't even think I read it for a video. I think I just read it for me. But I read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. You guys know I loved their other book when I read it for the romantasy category for Goodreads. Absolutely loved it. This was the same feeling. I think I do like the other one a little bit better, but this was still a 5-star. Loved it. Loved the characters. Loved the found family. I loved the story in this one. So this is following our main character who is a witch, and I loved seeing this story because I think it's taking place in like the same world. So in this one, they are super hidden. Like they are not contacting each other. They are doing things very under the radar. And so our main character is a full-fledged witch, and she gets a call that she needs to come help two baby witches, and that's unique because witches are separated at birth. They're not supposed to be kept together. And so she is brought to this, like, is it 2 or is it 3? It's a bunch of kids. And so she ends up coming here to take care of these kids, these orphans, and teaches them. And it's just like a very Mary Poppins story, but it's so fun. The romance is very grumpy sunshine, like very grumpy sunshine. And I love a grumpy sunshine story. And there's a lot of just I love found family. I love found family. This is true found family, true grumpy sunshine. And I loved the development of the characters in this. Like, there's a side character that is kind of the antagonist, and they end up being a protagonist at the end. And I loved that. I thought it was such a good character development. So I love this. It made me cry, as did the other book that they have written, and I think this is going to be a favorite author. So I'm really excited to see what else they come out. I hope they come out with another book in this series, because I 1000% will be picking up and will be reading it. So this was my favorite book of the month very easily. I still think my favorite book of the year is Your Favorite Scary Movie, but this is a close second. So that is everything that I've read this month. I think it was actually a really, really good reading month. I think the standouts were definitely a very Secret Society of Regular Witches and A Lonely Broadcast. Like, I know I only gave this 4 stars, not a 5-star, but it just stands out to me. Like, this book was so good. It just like needed a little bit of polishing at the end, but this one was so good. So anyway, if you made it this far in the video, leave a moon emoji for the very Secret Society of Regular Witches. Definitely let me know down in the comments down below which you read in February and what your favorite book was, what your least favorite book was. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe so you miss any future content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.